Hello, everyone, and on behalf of the All-Star Football Officials Association Training Committee, I'd like to welcome you to our second training video for the 2019 season. All right, in this video, we want to show you a couple clips of penalty enforcement. That's the main thing we want to focus on in this video is penalty enforcement. And again, not necessarily whether or not, whether we call a foul, whether we don't, but just in terms of, the play's over, we got a penalty, we have a flag on the ground. Now what do we do? How do we communicate? How do we enforce the penalty? Everything we need to talk about so that we can enforce these penalties correctly. And again, I won't take too much of your time up front before we get into the plays. But the biggest thing we're seeing from the clips we're getting from some of these schools throughout the first couple weeks, the biggest thing is it seems like we're just in a rush. We're in a hurry to mark the penalty off and get the game going again. And trust me, I know the rules have changed and everything's put in 40-second clock, this, that, and the other to keep the game going, get the game moving, and let the players play and get out of there. But it doesn't do any good to hurry up and get the game over with if we botch penalty enforcement in between. So again, the biggest thing from what I've seen is just slow down. There are mechanics in place, and I'll go over a few of them here in just a second, but there are mechanics in place that we need to follow. So again, when we have a penalty on the ground, if we have a penalty, we have a flag on the ground, first thing we need to do is ask ourselves, is this an actual foul? And I'm not talking about, stuff straight off the line, false start, the obvious stuff, but if we have, for instance, and you'll see a clip of it here later, intentional grounding. That's one where we need to have hopefully more than one official making the call on that. So we have line guys, deep guys, whatever it is, coming in, communicating with the referee and deciding whether or not we have a foul for intentional grounding. Can be the same thing with pass interference, especially offensive pass interference. If we've got something, offensive guy blocking close to the line, we've got a pass that's close to the line of scrimmage, and we need some information from the line guys to say, yes, that was behind the line of scrimmage, or that was beyond, so that we'll know if we have an actual foul or not. But moving on from there, again, biggest thing is guys, slow down. There are mechanics, and I won't get into too much of it, but I will say the biggest thing when we do have a foul, call an official. First of all, let's make sure we stop the clock. First and foremost, if we have a foul, stop the clock, signal, do what we need to do. Let's not just signal, but somebody look up at the clock, double check, especially side judge, since that's your responsibility. Look at the clock and make sure we get it stopped. So going from there, if you threw the flag, make sure we got a good spot, especially on, if we've got a hold in the middle, we've got something where we're definitely going to have to go from the spot. Hey, don't be scared to go back, especially if you're a deep guy trying to backpedal and you see a hold at the line of scrimmage. You may be trying to throw your flag 30 yards, 40 yards, whatever it is, trying to get it right, or on reverse mechanics on a punt or change of possession or something like that. So once everything's over, let's go back, make sure we got our flag in the right spot. If you have to pick it up and move it 5, 10, 15, whatever it is, pick it up, get it to the right spot. If we have two flags on the ground that are, after communication we determine for the same foul, let's get those flags to the right spot. You may have to pick both of them up and move them. You may just pick one flag up and move it to the spot of the other flag. But if we've got, 3 flags on one foul, let's get those flags to the same spot, because as soon as you get them to the same spot, everybody in the stadium, coaches, everybody can tell that that's one foul, as opposed to, we're standing at one flag and we've got 2 other flags on the ground. They may be thinking that we have 2 or 3 penalties on the play when in fact we don't. So first thing to do is clean it up, make sure we got a good spot. Moving on from there, now is where we want to talk about enforcement. So again, everything you see in the mechanics is say, hey, communicate as much as you can to the referee. We were, pass was complete, pass was incomplete. whatever the foul was. We were inbounds or out of bounds. As much information as you can give, bring it to the table. So again, following those mechanics, we need as much information as we can. It's all very important. So all 6 guys have a job to do, right? We don't need 6 people doing 6 different things. We have all 6 people that have a part in penalty enforcement. So again, we want somebody standing by the flag. We want to make sure we've got the end of the run marked. If we have an end of the run on play, especially hold at the line of scrimmage and we went 30 yards downfield, we need to make sure we've got somebody at the flag and somebody at the end of the run. But again, going from there, when we do decide, we've talked to the referee, we decided, okay, we're going to go, the end of the run was 10 yards further down, the spot of the foul was here, so we're going to go from the spot of the foul. Again, if the run ended on the left hash and the foul was on the right hash, we need to go from, when we say spot of the foul, we don't just mean the yard line, we need to go from the spot of that foul, so that would be the right hash in the instance I just gave. So let's make sure we're doing that, clean that up. And then don't forget, umpire's got a ball, but we've got the head linesman and the line judge when we're enforcing penalties that are also very important as well. So mechanics say obviously the head linesman is going to go over the chains. Hopefully they hadn't moved on you. So we've got that figured out before we get going. So again, umpire's standing where he needs to be. He's going to go walk it off, but before he walks off, he checks with the head linesman. Right, he's going to walk it off with him, make sure the line judge is in the spot we're going from. So head linesman, umpire, y'all walk it off together, 5, 10, 15, half the distance, whatever it is, y'all walk it off together. Figure out, hopefully before you start walking the yard line you're going to, when you do start walking off, and make sure y'all end up in the same spot. And then once y'all get set, the line judge will watch y'all, he'll walk it off, and hopefully he ends up in the same spot with y'all, so all 3 of you are in a straight line. Again, it's a simple mechanic, seems real simple to do, but I can't tell you, and you'll see it in some of the videos together, that seems real easy to do, but we've got instances where we've got a penalty, and we've got 6 guys on the field all doing different things. You've got the umpire walking it off, and the other 5 guys have their back turned to it, so umpire by himself might walk off. It's supposed to be 10-yard penalty, he walks off 15, or it's supposed to be 15 and he walks off 12 and a half or something like that. So again, make sure we're double checking, and then the line judge again triple checking to make sure that we're enforcing these penalties correctly. And again, I'm not going to get into too much of basic spot, all that kind of stuff. This is just in the description page of this, there'll be a link for it's a pretty good article that I think with Federation or Referee Magazine or whoever put it out, but it's a really good article on penalty enforcement, Rule 10, everything you need to know. It's a good read. It's way too much to talk about in this video, but check it out. Again, it'll be in the description here, and hopefully I can get it on our website, ASFOA website, in the training section, so you can click on it there and read. But it's a good read. So once again, biggest thing, slow down, guys. Just slow down. Make sure we've got communication with all 6 people on the crew. Make sure we know where we're going from, where we're going to, the foul we've got, the clock status, all that. So it's going to take all 6 of you, put it together to get it right. So again, going forward, make sure communicate. If you have a gut feeling that your crew is doing something wrong, hey, bring it to the table. Don't take it to the locker room. Talk about it. You'd rather take the extra 15, 20, 30 seconds to get it right than to watch the film after the game and realize you screwed something up and all it would have taken was a simple conversation. So I got a few plays to look at here, and as you look at them, again, just think about some of the things I talked about, but let's go ahead and get right into them. Okay, on this play here, we're going to let it play out. You're going to see during the kick, actually during the return, I shouldn't say that, during the return, we're going to have a block in the back, right in the middle, somewhere about right here. There it is right there. So good call. Umpire gets it, throws a flag. It gets pretty close. I think the foul was I missed it by a yard or two, and that's okay. But let me go ahead and stop you right here. So if you're good, if you're the calling official, you threw that flag and you like that spot, that's fine. Leave it right there. If not, you want to move it, pick it up. Pick it up with your hand, put it where you're going to put it, and go from there. Especially if in a case where we have two fouls or two flags, excuse me. Let's pick them up, get them in one spot. In this case, we got one. If we do want to move it, please pick it up with your hand and move it. Do not kick it along the ground. Don't kick it. And again, as we're coming in, talking about it, again, don't forget we need to have more than a kind of 2-second conversation about it. Remember, we need to know several things. So we got to change possession. All right, we got a kick play right here. Does PSK apply? And again, we'll say no because we need to know, was it before the end of the kick or was it during the return? In this case, it happened to be during the return, so PSK wouldn't matter, so we've ruled that out. So now, obviously, we need to know, all right, do we have a good spot? I agree, that's a good spot. I think they talked about that, got a good spot right there. So now we need to be talking about, do we go from the spot or do we go from the end of the run? In this case, pretty simple, all but one principle, right? Flag is upfield from the end of the run. So in this case, we need to go from the end of the run, which is the 36 in this instance, and not from the flag. But again, you'll see right here, we kind of halfway talk about it real quick. Not much crew communication at all. We're worried about getting any ball on and out. We get the umpire the ball. And again, this is not what we want here. The umpire's walking it off. Again, the referee's giving his preliminary signal. The umpire's walking off, but again, we want the head linesman to walk with him. We don't have that here. We want the line judge to hold the spot where we're going from, which in this case, he's actually in the right spot, but that's not what he's doing here. We just need to slow down right here. We need to slow down. We need to talk about it. Guys, line guys need to know this. Hey, we're from the end of the run. We're from the spot of the foul. In this case, we give them an extra, extra 3 yards they didn't earn. So we should have marked the penalty off from the 36. Instead, we go from the 39. So we've given them 3 yards they didn't earn. Again, though, this all boils down to we're in a big hurry. We're worried about getting the right football in. We're worried about getting the other team's football out. Stick with the mechanics when we walk off penalties. Again, head linesman, walk with the umpire. Umpire, do not walk unless the head linesman is with you. Know if you're going 10 yards. Know what yard line you're going to. Line judge, hold the spot where we're going from. And then when he walks it off, the head linesman and the umpire should be on the same yard line. And then the line judge, when they're done walking, should walk it off, and he should end up, all three of them, in a straight line. We'll put the ball down, and then we'll go. But again, we're just gotten in too much of a hurry here. Slow down. Talk about what we're doing, where we're going from. And in the very end, again, notice status of the clock. Again, we're warning the first down after kick, so this is pretty obviously clock will start on the snap here. So again, slow down. Do what you got to do. Make sure we get it right, and let's go from there. All right, so here is another scrimmage kick, punt play right here. So we're 4th and 13 at the, 17. So 4th and 13 at the 17. Again, anytime we have a scrimmage kick, we need to be heads up. We're most likely going to have a change possession, so we need to think about, if we do have a foul, we need to think about timing. We need to think about location of the foul. We need to think about PSK. We need to think about all that kind of stuff. So know that as we go into this play. You'll see, and I'll go ahead and give you a heads up, we're going to have a hold coming off the line right here. And it's pretty obvious. It's a good call. He holds him for several yards. But again, as you're watching, see if you can figure out the timing of the foul, the end of the kick, the end of the run, all that. So that's all going to come into play here. So we'll let it play out. Snap. Here, you've got really 2 holds. You've got a hold happening right here. I believe this is the one we get. So again, we're pretty quick. So we've got the foul going on right now, and the ball was just kicked. And you'll see the umpire actually gets it. So as we're rolling, keeps going way downfield. See the umpire in the middle here. He's going to throw his flag back there, and time he turns around, we are in the return. And I will say, as we go back, it's really hard to tell. You know, he's got his flag going, coming out here, he's throwing it, so he's clearly processed it. All that's happening. I seriously doubt at this point that we have the end of the kick back here, that the receiving team has possessed it. It's hard to tell because it's not on film. You can't really see it. But either way, that's happened. That foul's happened right off the line of scrimmage and going. And I know it's tough because the umpire here has his back turned. He's the one person with his back turned to the play. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, watching all that. He nails the foul. That's pretty obvious. But again, as we get a flag down, we need to think about the timing of this and when it happened. So as it plays out, flag's already on the ground, and I think right about here, he may have picked it up a yard or so. But you see the return guy back here, he has it. But again, very important, and you'll see as this plays out, he picks up there. Again, as a reminder, deep guys, field judge especially, make sure we get a beanbag on the ground. I don't see one back here, but it's really hard to enforce any kind of foul from the end of the kick if we don't mark the end of the kick. There's absolutely no way we can go back and guess. So we've got to have something on the ground so we know where the end of the kick is. And this, if for no other reason, this is why it's so important that we get a beanbag down when we have a change of possession as soon as the kick ends on scrimmage kick. So let it play out. So going back here, I mean, that's a 5, 10, 15, about a 20 something yard return right there. Killing it. We've got a flag. So the discussion, as you'll see in the next clip, again, we need somebody. We've got the end of the run mark. We need somebody to cover this flag, and we'll get there. You'll see as we go on here. We are having a discussion about when that happened. And here they determined that it was during the return. They talked about it, but I'm not sure in this case that he actually knew. I think it was more of a guess, again, because the umpire had his back turned. I'm not sure if anybody else would know, see that flag come out or when it happened. Maybe we get some help from the head linesman or the line judge that was looking in there and maybe saw it. They can say, yeah, that was, but even as an umpire, just as quick as that happened, just be thinking about, man, that was right off the line. I seriously doubt that foul happened during the return. So anyway, they do enforce it correctly from what they thought they had, which is a foul during the return. So in this case, they go from the end of the run, they back it up 10 yards, and they go from there. But I think what it probably should have been was a foul during the kick. And again, the foul was beyond the neutral zone extended because we've got our flag down here. And it spots close enough. So we've got the foul there. We should have gone from the end of the kick, which was on the other side of the 50. And you can see what a big difference that makes from where we're at, backing up 10, as opposed to the other side of the 50 and backing up another 10. That's a huge swing in field position. So again, just as we're communicating, this is why timing is very, very important. So let's make sure if we are going to throw a flag, anytime we have a change of possession, we know when that foul occurred in relation to the change of possession so that we can properly enforce this penalty. All right, let's take a look at this play here. Just a running play. This one should be pretty simple. We get a flag for a face mask. It looks like he grabs the opener of the helmet of the quarterback here, right there. All right, so we get a flag right there. Plays over, stopping the clock, doing everything we're supposed to do. So, all right, as you see, we started about 1st and 10 on the 30-yard line. So this one should be pretty easy. See signals there. Not a personal foul. He just had a 5-yard face mask. So this one should be pretty easy. There's no passing play. So all we have here is a running play. So basic spot is the end of the run. We should be having that conversation right here. We'll penalize from the end of the run, which is about the 25, go up 5 yards, and replay first. So basically, you've got 1st and 10 from the 30 again after everything's enforced. Again, you'll see here, originally gets it right, kind of walks it off about 4 steps, and he asks, and we decide that we're going from the previous spot, and we go another 5 yards to the 35, and now we're 1st and 5 at the 35. So we'll go back there to enforcement as well, where they start walking it off. So as we look at it, the only way we would have gone from the previous spot is if we had a loose ball play somewhere in between there. So let's say they grabbed his helmet, he got away, and then he threw an incomplete pass. Well, at that point, then we have a foul. The basic spot will be the previous spot, so we would be right going from the previous spot. It would be 1st and 5 at the 35. However, in this case, all we have is run and play. The run and play ended at the 25, so we needed to enforce that penalty from the end of the run. Again, these are pretty simple. We've got to get these right. And again, just poor mechanics. I know we've talked about it, but just poor mechanics as we're enforcing this penalty here. You know, we need to be on the same page. Referee, umpire, we should already have the conversation about where we're going from, where we're going to. We need to walk with the head linesman, line judge, hold the spot, everything we've already talked about. So, again, don't be in too big of a hurry. Let's make sure we know where we're going from and we know where we're going to, so that we can keep really simple mistakes on simple penalty enforcement from happening like we get right here. All right, so on this play here, we've got a snap, 4th down, got a punt or attempted punt. We're going to have, it gets kind of squirrely back here. We're going to have a bad snap. He'll run around a little bit back here. We've got him slings it forward for an incomplete pass, and we're trying to figure out whether or not we have intentional grounding on it. So I'll let it play out here. The crew actually does a pretty good job in the end in terms of deciding whether we have a penalty and how to enforce it and where to go from there. So again, I'm going to let it play out here. So it comes up. We got a ball on the ground somehow. Got a flag out, and here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. So I would like to see, outside of penalty enforcement, just a little bit better mechanics. If we rule in this an incomplete pass, let's make sure we do one of two things. Either first thing, kill the clock one way or another. Let's kill the clock. I didn't see that happen, but let's make sure, if nothing else, we stop the clock, know that the play's over. In this case, the referee himself rules an incomplete pass, and he kind of makes the signal for incomplete, but it's not very visible, so you don't really know what's going on. So you've got a lot going on here, and again, we do have a flag on the ground for which he believes is intentional grounding. So referee threw his flag for what he believes is intentional grounding. So now we got intentional grounding. For the most part, we want to try and get some help if we can. And in this case, we do actually do a pretty good job. And we do have some audio, so I'm going to let this audio play out so you can hear it.
Back up, gentlemen. There was a receiver in the area. Okay. Then I have an incomplete pass. Okay. 1st down on the 6-yard.
All right, so hopefully you heard that pretty well there. Again, that's fine. White hat, thought he saw intentional grounding, thought he had everything there, didn't have a receiver. But heck of a job by the line judge coming in here, telling him, no, we did have a receiver in the area. He's adamant about it, so no big deal, right? We wave the flag off. Again, it was 4th down. We go to the previous spot. And in this case, don't show up at chains. Everybody held like they were supposed to. So we go to the previous spot, ends up being 1st and goal at like the 7 or something like that. So, again, good job here by this crew, communicating. Again, picking the flag up, waving it off, and ultimately getting the call right. So, great job here. If we do want to talk kind of hypothetical, so let's say line judge comes in, head linesman, whoever says, yeah, there was no receiver in there, or there at least wasn't an eligible receiver in the area. So we do have a flag down. So in this case, we would have intentional grounding in the end zone. So by rule, if we have intentional grounding in the end zone or an illegal forward pass in the end zone, by rule that is a safety. There is no other option there. So again, he threw it forward incomplete. They can't decline the penalty and take the ball back at the previous spot. By rule, for an illegal forward pass or intentional grounding in the end zone, that is a safety. So had we decided that, that would have been their only option. Had that been a hold instead of intentional grounding, had that been a hold that occurred in the end zone, again, they would have had options there, or any other kind of foul that wasn't intentional grounding on the offense that occurred in the end zone, be it a hold or a face mask or block below the waist or whatever, and we had a flag in the end zone. Again, they could decline it and take the ball at the previous spot, the defense that is, take the ball at the previous spot, 1st and 10, or accept it and take the penalty. So in that case, you would have had options. But had we decided that this was not, or that this was intentional grounding, then again we would have had the only option to enforce us from the end zone as a safety. But again, those are hypotheticals. Again, crew came in, had a little discussion, got it right, picked the flag up, perfect, moved on. Great job, guys. All right, well, that's it for this training video. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully everybody was able to get a little bit of something out of it. Biggest thing that I hope everybody saw was that if we just slow down and communicate, if we just slow down and communicate a little bit better, we can keep some of these simple mistakes from happening. So as you go forward, just remember, it takes all 6 or 7, whatever it is on the field, should be doing something when we're enforcing penalties. So slow down. Biggest thing, don't be in a hurry. Let's get things right. And again, please, if you get time, check out the article I mentioned earlier. It'll be in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. The link will be in the description. It's a really good read. Won't take but a couple minutes, but I'm telling you, it'll save you a lot of headache when it comes to enforcing penalties out there. So thank you guys. Hopefully I'll have another training video out here within the next couple weeks. And thanks again and good luck.